Hello, welcome. For today's session, we'll want to start on a chair. So I'm starting sideways to show you my posture because one of the first steps to addressing some achiness in the back, especially in pregnancy, really any time though, is to look at how we're sitting and standing in our posture. So especially in pregnancy, as things are in our joints, ligaments are loosening up, getting us ready for labor, the posture becomes increasingly important so it doesn't put more strain on those joints and ligaments when we're in a compromising position. Like, for example, how I often find myself sitting on the couch with my back slumped back, or how we might find ourselves driving. So we really want to try to find this length in the back, neutral pelvis. And we also want to make sure, especially as our beautiful bellies keep growing, that we're not overly tipping forward, creating this big arch in the back. So it also depends on how you were before you were pregnant. Those tendencies will usually express themselves even more once you're pregnant. So let's look at our seat here. So in your chair, draw the flesh of your seat out to get more on the sitting bones. Okay, bring the hands to the hips. We'll rock forward and then tip the pelvis back. And go back and forth a few times, feeling your weight rolling to the backs of the sitting bones and then rolling forward of the sitting bones. Back and forth. And you may find one of these directions feels a lot easier to you than the other. Maybe not, just take note of that. Let these movements get smaller and smaller until you're finding your position just barely to the front of the sitting bones. A nice length in the back, so you have a little bit of your inward lordotic curve, but you're not tipping backwards, slumping in the low back, nor are you really collapsed forward. Okay, and then find a nice tall spine. Now I'm going to turn my chair around, so I will be facing you. And from here, we're going to take a hip stretch. So flex your right ankle and bring it over the knee. Okay, so you want to make sure to flex the whole ankle. The outer ankle, pull all the toes back to the knee. And then again, see if you can draw your seat out a little bit more on each side. And hold the knee with one hand, hold the heel with the other. As you inhale, see if you can lengthen up out of the low back some more. Lift up through the top of your head. You may be feeling this stretch in the hip. So often during pregnancy, our hips can get really tight, specifically this muscle really deep underneath the glute muscles, these outer hip muscles called the piriformis. It can get really tight, and when that one gets tight, it can compress the sciatic nerve. So if you're experiencing something like a shooting pain down your leg, I'm sorry, that's not a pleasant experience at all, but doing something like this, these kind of four-shaped stretches, may help loosen that up and decompress that nerve. So you could try this every day. So we're inhale, lengthening up. Some of you may be right here at your edge. Some of you may be able to start coming forward, but try to keep the spine long. Notice your breath. So that's one area we can look at when we're trying to figure out what's happening with our backs. If we're having some back pain, is that so stretching, opening through the hips, and then come on up Let's switch, flex all the toes back. Okay, hold the heel, hold the knee, even push your heel against your hand a little bit, create a little bit of resistance. And then sit up tall, lengthen up through the low back, the upper back. So we'll be doing in this session several ways to open around the hips, especially the outer hips. And then we'll be adding different ways to traction the spine. Sometimes in pregnancy it can just be that our low back or some other area of the spine just is getting a little bit squished. So we're trying to figure out how to lengthen out the spine again, give it some space, and see if some of the achiness pain is resolved. Okay, so opening the hips, tractioning the spine, and then we'll be opening the fronts of our thighs as well. A few more breaths here. Nice deep inhales, like you're breathing down into that left hip. Full, complete exhales. One more breath. Good, and then release. Take both legs forward, draw the kneecaps up, and the whole body is connected. So one area has an effect on another, the whole body. So we're really looking at the whole body, whole spine. So we also want to make sure we're not really slumping forward, because then it's hard to find a nice alignment through the lower back. But often in pregnancy, everything's growing in the front, we're being pulled forward. So we're also going to be focusing on opening the chest, rolling the shoulders back, getting this length through the upper back and the neck. So sit up tall. Find that neutral position, just slightly forward of your sitting bones. Keep your feet parallel. Okay, feel the feet on the ground. And then here, let's bring the fingertips to the shoulders. Bring the elbows forward. We're going to inhale, sweep the elbows back and up to the ceiling. And we're just making these nice big movements with the shoulders, trying to open up the chest a little bit. Make sure that as you're opening your chest, it's not really arching your back a little bit. So you want to keep a little tuck, baby gently drawing back as well. Move with your breath. And then we'll go the other direction. Inhale, lift the elbows up and back. Continue to feel the feet on the floor. Make sure they're still parallel. Make sure the seat is still slightly forward of the sitting bones. Gently drawing baby back. So you may be repeating this session maybe a lot to try to bring some of these reminders throughout your whole day. So it's not always enough just to do it in a session, but we're trying to kind of hear these messages all day long of how to take care of ourselves in our pregnant bodies. Okay, wonderful. And then release. Let's stand up. And we're going to take a little forward fold here. So often, especially as we're progressing in pregnancy, baby belly's growing. We're getting this big lordotic curve. So we want to work on kind of hugging our baby back. And some forward folds can really help lengthen and stretch the area. So bring your hands on the chair. Keep the feet parallel, so not spinning out, but straight forward. Spread the toes and now lengthen your spine. So this may be plenty for some of you, especially if you're already feeling a stretch in the backs of your legs. Just hold it here, but make sure that the baby's not kind of sagging your spine down. You want to keep hugging the baby up a little bit. So you may be holding it right here. Maybe some of you are fine to bend your knees a little bit and come down to the forearms, okay? What we don't want is your legs straightening and your back rounding up, okay? That's compressing where the baby is, for one thing, and it's not giving us the traction, length in our spine that we want. So put that bend in your knees, kind of reach your sitting bones back and apart, and breathe here. Continue to spread your toes, feel the feet on the floor. Some of you may even stack the forearms and rest the forehead down. And we'll hold it here a little bit, a few breaths. Keep your big toe ball mounts heavy. So in a session for something like an achy back, it has a lot to do with the alignment, how we're holding our body. So I'll be talking about that a lot here. You want to make sure not to be buckling the knees back here. So it may feel like a lot to think about at first, but continue to do the session maybe again and again, and it'll start to become more natural in your body. And all of these principles are also applicable to after you've had the baby, when you're not pregnant anymore. All of these things can help us continue to feel good in our bodies. And now bring your gaze forward. Come up to the hands if you're not already. Bring the hands to the knees and stand up. So I'll talk about our stance here. So especially, I'll say it again and again, as we get more pregnant, we may want to put a slight bend in the knees and a little tuck through the tail. And you'll feel how that lengthens your lower back down, okay? Versus straightening the legs and getting that big compression curve in the back. So if you're feeling that, bend the knees a little bit, tuck your tail, okay? And then stack your spine. So from here, let's grab your strap, and we're gonna keep opening our shoulders and chest a little bit. So find that stance, feet as wide apart as you need. Keep the feet parallel. Unless you're really far along, you may need to open them out a little bit. We'll inhale, reach up, okay? Keep that little tuck, hugging the baby back. And now let your arms slide apart as you bring the arms back. And then release the strap with one hand, and we'll keep going. Lift up. Let the hands slide apart. So we'll go all the way back. Let go of the opposite side, and we'll keep going here. So I didn't mention, but if you don't have a yoga strap, there are tons of things you could be using here. It could be a baby swaddle, a scarf, a belt, some stretchy pants. You want to be letting the arms slide far enough apart so that you're not putting too much strain on your shoulders. It should feel pretty nice here, not too much towards your edge. Okay, so either keep doing that, or if it's feeling perfectly safe in your shoulders to come back up, go that way. Keep your head, your gaze straight forward. We don't want to be dropping the head down. We'll go a few more times. Last time. Wonderful. And then let's take the hands about as wide as the shoulders. Unless you cannot straighten your arms, then go wider. We'll inhale, reach up. Again, little tuck in the bottom, baby hugs back. Lift up and we'll reach over to one side. Okay, and then inhale, come on up. Over to the other side. Pull your strap like you're trying to rip it apart. And then back up. And we'll start to move our hips a little bit here. So move your hips to the opposite side of your arms. And then up. Move the hips opposite side. We'll go one more time on each side. Up and over. Up and over. And then up. And all the way back again. Okay, we're trying to find some length in the sides of our body. And then you can release the strap down. And now we're taking more of a kind of dog pose with the chair. So bring the hands on your chair. And this time we're going to be walking the feet back. So depending on how far along you are in your pregnancy, you'll need to take the feet wider the further along you are. Keep the feet parallel, so I'm pretty far along, so I'm going to go even wider than my mat. And then I'll reach the seat back. Okay, notice I have a bend in my knees, so bend your knees, especially if you're rounding the spine up. Bend your knees and stick your bottom out. If the seat of your chair is too low, you could be doing this with the other side of your chair. Okay, I love doing this also in the kitchen, grabbing onto the counter. That's a nice height as well to work with. We're trying to pull the outer hips back. And then a wonderful thing, this will be in the partner video if you haven't seen that, to really help you traction, is to take your strap or similar right at the tops of your thighs underneath the baby belly, and your partner or friend is pulling back on the strap as your hands are still on your chair. Okay, so you can get a really nice tractioning there through the spine. We'll hold this a few more breaths. One more nice big breath in. Full breath out. And then bring your gaze up and slowly walk on up. Okay. Okay, so from here, if you have a block, grab one. Okay, if not, you're just imagining block here, but I really recommend getting one. Comes in handy after babies come to. We're going to bring this high to the inner thighs. Feet are parallel. Now I'm squeezing the block first with the fronts of my thighs. Okay, so when I do that, it may make my thighs move back a little bit. I'm squeezing with the fronts of my thighs. It might make my knees roll in. Okay, part 2. Keep squeezing with the fronts of your thighs, but now lengthen your bottom down towards your heels. Okay, so we're combining those two, squeezing fronts of thighs, bottom lengthens down. Make sure you're not locking out your knees. So there's a lot of squeezing of that block happening. Okay, so sometimes just this alone, holding it, can bring some stability into the body. Okay, and now we're going to bring this into some strengthening up to the wall. So make sure if you're doing this that you can have your feet on something that's not going to slide away. Okay, so I'm walking my feet forward, keeping them parallel. And then we'll take a big breath in. So still squeezing fronts of thighs, bottom lengthens. You'll notice your low back may get closer to the wall. And then we're slowly sliding down here. Okay. So a lot of strengthening happening here. So depending on how much you're feeling pain in your low back here. If you have that big lordotic arch in your back, you may really want to be tucking your bottom under here and getting your low back flat to the wall, just temporarily trying that length, okay? If your back pain isn't so much coming from that sort of big curve, then here allow just a little curve of your low back away from the wall. Okay, we'll take 3 more breaths here. Keep squeezing the block. Nice deep breaths. And as you exhale, bring the hands back to the wall and stand up. Okay, wonderful. So from here, this is just like dog pose with the chair, but let's instead use the wall now. Okay, so you can take your hands on the wall, fingers spreading wide, wrist creases parallel to the top of the wall. Let's walk our hands a little higher than your hips, a few inches lower than the shoulders. Hands as wide as the shoulders. Keep your block if you can, and then we'll slowly push back with a bend in the knees. Hug your baby up and try to keep squeezing that block a little bit. Fingers are spreading wide. Now push your wall down. Try to lengthen your hip creases back a little bit more for another breath. And with your inhale, take your gaze up. And we'll do one more chair at the wall. So walk the feet out. Squeeze with the fronts of your thighs. Lengthen your bottom down. And then slide down. Bring your shoulders back to the wall. Bring the back of your head to the wall. So this posture is offering us a lot of stabilization through all of the kind of looseness around our hips and pelvis, getting us ready for labor, which is great. This can provide us just a little bit of containment, keeping us strong in the muscles as well. So we want both, the ability to open and keep our bodies together. Okay, so we'll take 3 more breaths here. Maybe slide down some more if you can. Keep squeezing that block. Bottom scooping a little bit. And then bring the hands back to the wall and stand up. Wonderful. From here, move your block. Okay, we're going to take one of our kind of classical standing postures. If you notice the asymmetrical postures, like this one we're about to do, feels aggravating to you, then just skip it, okay? We'll bring the feet out wide. Feet parallel, hands to hips. Turn the right foot out. And then we're going to bend the right knee and bring the forearm to thigh. Okay, so important here that we want to make sure that we're not letting this back thigh and hip jam forward, okay, which could create some compression or ickiness around our back and hips as well. So just encourage this left thigh to kind of move back a little bit. And then hug your baby up. And then roll your chest open and reach the left arm up. Good, we'll hold it here a few breaths. Really push that back foot down. Either leave the left arm straight up to the sky, or you may be reaching it up by the ear, palm facing the floor. One more breath. And with a big inhale, come on up. Hands to hips, let's turn right foot in, left foot out. Okay, we'll bend the left knee, bring forearm to thigh, and gently encourage this thigh to move back a little bit. strong leg. And then hug your baby in a little bit, scoop your bottom, and then roll your chest open and reach the top arm. Either keep your arm here or rotate the arm and reach the arm by the ear, palm facing the floor. Nice full breaths. Stretch through the side of your body. And with a big inhale, come on up. Spin the feet in and walk the feet in. Let's move the hips a little bit side to side. So we're doing some stretching, opening around the hips. We're doing some strengthening. We're doing tractioning of the spine. Okay, so we're going to go back to some hip opening. So come back to your chair. Okay, if you could be doing fire log on the floor as well, if you know that from other sessions or your practice. So again, find your neutral seat, slightly forward of the sitting bones, and we're going to go back to right ankle over the knee. Okay, support the knee and the ankle, sit up tall. As you inhale, either stay here, maybe you're leaning forward, maybe even a little movement here. Let the eyes close, even if it feels okay, allowing yourself to wind down a little bit. One more breath. And with your inhale, sit up tall, gently release. Now shift your body to the left. Grab onto the back of your chair. And here, we're going to take the foot back, hand to hip. So this may already be enough to start to open across the front of the thigh and the hip flexors. Another place that if it's really tight, it will really tuck our seat a lot. So we want to keep this area open as well. So you may be staying here, or you may be grabbing the foot. Now shoot the knee down, roll the shoulders back. And you're trying to scoop your bottom a little bit here, okay? If this doesn't work out on your chair, you could also do it on your side, lying down on the floor. And slowly release that down and turn back forward. Again, find the neutral seat. Flex the left ankle. Hold the heel and the knees, sit up tall. Stay here or begin to fold in. Nice slow deep breaths. Let the exhales begin to lengthen if they haven't already. And with an inhale, sit up tall. Gently release, turn to your right. Wiggle the left foot back. You're grabbing the chair. So we're trying to point that knee straight down and then tuck the bottom, shoulders rolling back. So that already may be plenty for you, or you're picking up that foot. Try to hug the knee in. Point the knee towards the floor and then tuck the bottom a little bit. Shoulders roll back, chest lifts. foot. Let's stand back up. Move your chair. We're coming into a posture called Virasana, which also can offer us some stabilization through the hips, through the internal rotation of our thighs. So come to table, bring the knees as close together as you can, widen the heels, wider than the hips. You're gonna want some props around, blocks, blankets. Now iron your calves back with your hands. We're trying to sit in between the heels. So I definitely need one block under my seat. Okay, you may need 2 blocks or a block and a blanket or some combination. If you're feeling pain in your knees, you need more height. Okay, if you're feeling pain in your ankles, then roll a towel or blanket underneath your ankles first. So you could scooch something under your ankles so they're supported here. Okay, spread your little toenails out. Make sure that your feet are curling back behind you. So you're trying to spread the little toenails out and hug the outer ankles in. Okay, so this is a position of our thighs that doesn't come so naturally in pregnancy, this internal rotation. It allows us to find that neutral position of the pelvis, maybe a little more easily on the sitting bones, spaciousness through the back. So lengthen up the spine from here. Slight tuck in the chin. Close your eyes, give yourself a few breaths here. Feel the length through the back of your spine, down from your tailbone, all the way up through the back of your spine, back of your neck and head. Let your gaze soften inward. And we'll add to this a bee's breath to help us kind of go a little more inward. So this one will be plugging the ears, and as you inhale, take a big breath in, and on the exhale, you close your mouth and hum as loudly as you can, letting the teeth maybe vibrate and feeling that buzz vibration in your head. Okay, 5 times, be loud. Maybe your baby will enjoy that nice humming sound as well. Okay, so today we'll just do it plugging the ears with a set of fingers. When you're ready, big breath in. And exhale, hum. And as you're finished, release the hands down. Give yourself a few natural breaths. Notice how you feel. Gently open the eyes. To come out of this, bring the hands a few inches out in front of the shoulders. Take one leg back, toes curled under, kneecap lifts, and push the heel back. Draw the baby up a little bit. And then do that on the other side. Push the left heel back, draw the kneecap up. And release. And now just for a minute or so, we'll take a child's pose here. So bring the knees wide, big toes touch. If you have a bolster, place it down. If child's pose is feeling good to you without a bolster, with the hands forward, it may be like a half child's pose here. Okay, maybe hands even further out in front. Or maybe you're bringing the chest down and resting one side of your head down. So this can be a beautiful way to release in the low back as well. But you want to make sure that you're kind of tucking in the seat. Really nice to for a partner or a friend to take the heels of their hands on the lower back and outer hips and drag that outer hip down towards your heels. Get you some nice length there. And turn your head the other way if it's turned. So if that's feeling really useful to you, you may want to hold it another few minutes to continue getting that release. If you're ready, go ahead and come on up and we'll set up for our final rest here. So if you have your bolster or a couch cushion, then you can set yourself up inclined. If you don't, then rest on your side and put your pillows in between your knees and ankles and put something under your head for a pillow, so resting there. Otherwise, you're inclining with 1 or 2 blocks, whatever you have. Maybe pillows are propping you up. Depending on how high you're propped, you may need more underneath the arms. So I'm going to grab some more things. You may want more pillows, more blankets here, whatever you can grab. So something under each arm. Okay. So lots of ways you can prop this up. It doesn't have to be like the props I have. So what I'm doing is I'm setting up as if I had a second bolster. So actually more pillows would be great to use instead of what I'm doing. I'm using 2 blocks and then I'm going to drape a blanket over. I'm going to have something for my head as well. Okay, and I'm sitting right in front of the bolster. You want to kind of scrunch your pillows or blankets, whatever you have, under your thighs. You're getting a little lift in the thighs. Make a little traction neck roll there for you. And then relax the arms down. Let the shoulders roll back. If you feel like your back is arching a lot here, then scoot your bottom away so that it can release a little bit. Okay. So main point here is that you want this to feel really comfortable, so you can rest your body, you can fully let go. If after a few minutes it's just not feeling right, then come on to rest onto your side or some other position that you feel like you can really let go in. Okay, and wherever you are, give yourself a nice breath in. Take a sigh through the mouth. Do that another time. Let your face begin to relax if it's not already. Maybe even practicing a smile here. And continue to let yourself drop, and rest. Remembering too that that's a process. Some days it feels really easy to drop into a rest. Some days it takes some time and practice. So give yourself at least another 5, maybe even 10 minutes here if you have the time. Okay, if not, give yourself 10 more breath cycles. See if you can really exhale, each exhale drop. Let the body sink down a little bit more. Okay, enjoy your rest. Thank you.